The clock begins its silent countdown. You haven't eaten for hours, and deep within the intricate networks of your brain, something fundamental begins to shift. There's a peculiar stillness settling over your internal landscape, like the hushed atmosphere before a thunderstorm breaks across the sky. Your blood sugar starts its gentle descent, and throughout your body, billions of cells begin an almost imperceptible conversation with one another, exchanging chemical whispers that all ask the same question: where is the fuel we've grown accustomed to receiving? Yet despite this quiet cellular inquiry, everything continues to function with remarkable stability. Your body, shaped by millennia of evolutionary wisdom, still operates under the assumption that nourishment will arrive soon, just as it always has in your modern life of abundance. As the second hour unfolds, your brain initiates a fascinating recalibration. It begins to deliberately slow certain functions that aren't immediately essential for survival, redirecting precious energy toward the faculties that matter most in this moment: focus, awareness, and the kind of sharp alertness that your ancestors needed when their next meal wasn't guaranteed. This isn't a malfunction or a crisis response. This is evolution's masterpiece, a survival mechanism so deeply embedded in your genetic code that it activates automatically without any conscious direction from you. What's truly remarkable is that you might actually notice yourself becoming sharper, more present, more mentally agile than you were when your stomach was full and your blood sugar was riding its usual peaks and valleys. Most people carry a fundamental misunderstanding about what happens when they stop eating. They imagine weakness, fatigue, a body struggling against the absence of food. But in these early stages, the precise opposite occurs. Your adrenal glands respond to the changing conditions by releasing small amounts of adrenaline, just enough to heighten your senses without causing anxiety or stress. Simultaneously, your body begins the careful work of preserving and strategically deploying its stored energy reserves. This is the exact same biological program that kept early humans not just alive, but functionally alert and capable when their stomachs were empty and their survival depended on their ability to hunt, gather, or find their way to safety. Your body remembers this. Every cell carries the memory. If you're someone who finds genuine fascination in understanding how your body and brain respond to challenges, how they adapt and optimize and reveal capabilities you didn't know existed, then you'll want to stay with this journey all the way through. What unfolds over the next 24 hours is nothing short of extraordinary, and we're only at the very beginning. Several hours have now passed, and your stomach begins its familiar protest. It sends urgent signals upward to your brain, chemical messages that translate into a single demand: feed me now. But here's where things get interesting, where biology reveals one of its cleverest tricks. This sensation you're experiencing, this feeling you've been taught to call hunger, isn't actually what you think it is. It's not your body crying out in genuine need. It's routine, pure and simple. Your brain has been conditioned through years of habitual eating patterns to anticipate food at specific times. When breakfast doesn't arrive at its usual hour, when lunch fails to materialize on schedule, your brain interprets this deviation from the expected pattern as a potential threat. Deep in your hypothalamus, that ancient region of the brain responsible for regulating hunger and countless other vital functions, specific neurons suddenly activate. They illuminate like warning lights on a dashboard, sending cascading waves of chemical messengers throughout your entire nervous system. These signals manifest as physical sensations: a slight discomfort in your abdomen, perhaps a growing sense of irritability or restlessness, maybe even a difficulty concentrating on the task in front of you. But here's the crucial truth that changes everything. This discomfort is temporary. It's a habit speaking, not a genuine emergency.
If you acknowledge it without immediately responding to it, if you allow yourself to sit with the sensation rather than rushing to eliminate it, something profound happens. Your body begins to understand that it's not actually in danger. The urgency fades, the cravings lose their grip.
While this is happening at the conscious level, an entirely different process is unfolding in the background. Your brain starts producing neuropeptide Y, a remarkable molecule that serves a dual purpose. Yes, it stimulates appetite, making you more aware of your desire for food. But simultaneously, it does something unexpected. It sharpens your focus and heightens your alertness. This is the trade-off, the biological bargain that nature struck millions of years ago. The sensation of hunger isn't meant to weaken you. It's designed to make you more effective, more capable of securing the resources you need. It's a survival advantage written directly into the architecture of your nervous system, a feature so ancient that it predates human civilization itself. By the time you reach the 6th, 7th, or 8th hour without food, your body achieves a kind of understanding. It recognizes the situation for what it is. External energy isn't coming in the immediate future, and so it makes a decision, activating what scientists have come to call metabolic flexibility. This is the moment when your body demonstrates its true adaptive genius. Your liver, that remarkable chemical processing plant in your abdomen, begins converting its stored glycogen into glucose, creating a steady stream of energy to feed your brain. This process is careful and controlled, releasing just enough glucose to keep your neural networks firing optimally without depleting the reserves too quickly. But glycogen stores are finite, and your liver knows this. As these reserves begin to diminish, a deeper, more profound mechanism awakens from its dormant state. The process is called lipolysis, and it represents a fundamental shift in your body's energy economy. Your fat cells, those repositories of stored energy that have been waiting patiently beneath your skin, begin releasing fatty acids into your bloodstream. These molecules carry tremendous potential energy, but there's a complication. Your brain, despite its incredible capabilities, cannot use fat directly as fuel. The blood-brain barrier, that protective membrane that shields your most vital organ from potential threats, won't allow fatty acids to pass through. So your body performs an elegant transformation. It signals your liver to take those circulating fatty acids and convert them into something your brain can use: ketone bodies. These molecules are smaller, cleaner burning, and perfectly suited to cross the blood-brain barrier and power your neurons. This metabolic shift is monumental in its implications. It represents the moment when your brain learns to run on something fundamentally different from the sugar it's been conditioned to expect. Historically, this adaptation is precisely what allowed our species to survive periods of scarcity, to endure famines and food shortages that would have otherwise meant extinction. It's also the reason why people who fast regularly often describe experiencing a strange, almost otherworldly sense of clarity around this stage. Your body isn't struggling, it's adapting, shifting into a mode of operation that's actually more efficient in many ways than its default state. Consider for a moment the remarkable nature of your brain. This 3-pound universe of neurons and synapses consumes approximately 20% of all the energy your body produces, despite representing only about 2% of your total body weight. It's the hungriest, most energy-demanding organ you possess. When the steady stream of food stops flowing in, when glucose becomes scarce, your brain transforms into something of a detective, searching every corner of your body for alternative fuel sources. But this search isn't frantic or chaotic, it's methodical, intelligent, and remarkably effective. As your neurons adjust to this new reality, something beautiful happens. They become more efficient in their communication with one another. The synaptic connections that matter most become stronger, while unnecessary or redundant pathways are pruned away.
and simultaneously, your brain initiates a process that sounds almost like science fiction, but is actually well-documented biological fact: autophagy. This term, which literally means self-eating, refers to your brain's internal housekeeping system. During autophagy, damaged cells and misfolded proteins are identified, broken down, and recycled to create new, more efficient cellular components. It's like giving your brain a deep cleaning at the molecular level, removing the accumulated debris and dysfunction that builds up during normal daily operation. This process of autophagy is one of the most powerful benefits of short-term fasting, and research has linked it to both increased longevity and improved brain health. Your brain is literally renewing itself, using the challenge of fasting as an opportunity to optimize its structure and function. But while this is happening at the cellular level, you might notice something quite different in your subjective experience. Emotionally, this period can feel distinctly strange. Some people report waves of irritability, sudden shifts in mood, or difficulty regulating their emotional responses. Others describe something closer to euphoria, a lifted feeling, a sense of lightness that seems disconnected from their physical state. These emotional fluctuations aren't random. They're the result of neurotransmitters like dopamine and norepinephrine fluctuating in response to your changing metabolic state. Your brain is actively rewiring its own chemistry in real time, adjusting the delicate balance of molecules that govern mood, motivation, and emotional regulation. And you can actually feel this happening. You're witnessing your own neurochemistry in flux, experiencing firsthand how profoundly your brain is connected to the metabolic state of your body. When you cross the threshold into the 12th hour, something significant occurs at the hormonal level. Your body officially transitions from what scientists call the fed state to the fasted state. Insulin, that crucial hormone responsible for moving glucose from your bloodstream into your cells, drops dramatically. This decline in insulin isn't a problem, it's a signal, a message to your fat stores that their moment has arrived. They begin releasing energy more freely, contributing to the pool of resources available to fuel your continued existence. Your brain, now operating partly on ketones and partly on the remaining glucose, settles into a more stable, consistent rhythm of function.
The roller coaster you might be used to experiencing throughout a normal day, those dramatic spikes and crashes in blood sugar that follow meals and snacks, that cycle that can leave you feeling energized one moment and exhausted the next, that entire chaotic pattern has completely disappeared. In its place is something steadier, more reliable, more consistent. And ketones, it turns out, aren't merely backup fuel that your body reluctantly turns to when its preferred option isn't available. They're actually neuroprotective, meaning they actively protect your brain from damage and deterioration. Multiple studies have demonstrated that ketones reduce inflammation in neural tissue, support the health and function of mitochondria, those tiny power plants that exist inside every cell, and even enhance cognitive performance across a range of tasks. It's no coincidence that many people who practice fasting regularly describe experiencing a mental calm that feels almost meditative, a sense of inner quiet that's difficult to achieve through other means. At this point in your fasting journey, your body and brain exist in a state of perfect communication. Every system has streamlined itself for efficiency, for survival, for maintaining the sharpest possible focus. What began as the simple sensation of hunger has transformed into something else entirely, a temporary state of physiological balance and optimization that modern life, with its constant availability of food and its cultural expectation of continuous consumption, rarely allows you to experience. As you approach and pass the 16-hour mark, your body officially enters a state called ketosis, a metabolic shift so remarkable in its implications that it fundamentally changes how energy flows through your entire system.
Fat, which has been stored quietly beneath your skin, around your organs, in deposits throughout your body, becomes liquid energy. Your liver works steadily to transform fatty acids into ketone bodies, those small but powerful molecules that can cross the protective barrier surrounding your brain and serve as its primary fuel source. The analogy that captures this best is switching from regular gasoline to a high-octane alternative, slower burning, longer lasting, surprisingly efficient, and in many ways superior to what you were using before. Your brain loves ketones in ways that most people never realize. They provide a smoother, steadier stream of energy compared to glucose, which tends to fluctuate wildly throughout the day, depending on when and what you eat. This is precisely why so many people report feeling more alert, more focused, more mentally clean and clear while fasting. The mind is no longer engaged in a constant battle with the ups and downs of blood sugar. It's no longer riding that wave of crashes and recoveries. Instead, it's running on precision fuel, on energy that arrives in consistent, reliable amounts. But this transition doesn't come easily. At least not the first few times you experience it. Your body protests initially. You might feel fatigue settling into your muscles and bones. Brain fog might cloud your thinking, making even simple tasks feel more difficult than they should be. There's a period of resistance, a brief window where your metabolism is learning to speak a new language, to operate according to a different set of rules. Yet once your body adapts, once it becomes fluent in this alternative mode of operation, something shifts. The brain becomes sharper, calmer, more resilient. This is the same fundamental mechanism that sustained human beings through harsh winters when food was scarce, through long hunts that required days of sustained effort, through periods of famine that tested the limits of survival. Your body knows how to do this. It's done it countless times across countless generations. Modern science has finally caught up to what traditional wisdom has understood for thousands of years. Research demonstrates that ketones don't just feed the brain, they protect it. They promote the growth of new neurons through a process called neurogenesis. They support the production of brain-derived neurotrophic factor, known by its acronym BDNF, a molecule that plays a crucial role in learning, memory formation, and overall cognitive function. In essence, fasting is not merely survival, it's regeneration. It's your body taking the opportunity to rebuild and optimize itself at the deepest levels. By now, fully immersed in your body's fasting rhythm, something truly fascinating begins to happen. Mental clarity rises like mist lifting from a landscape, revealing details that were hidden before. The world seems somehow quieter, less chaotic, more manageable. Your focus deepens in ways you might not have thought possible. Distractions that would normally pull your attention in a dozen different directions suddenly lose their grip on you. Scientists believe this phenomenon is partly due to the stable fuel supply that ketones provide, but there's more to the story than simple energy metabolism.
Your neurotransmitters are recalibrating themselves. Dopamine, that molecule so crucial to motivation and the experience of reward, and serotonin, which influences mood and emotional stability, both begin to stabilize at new baselines. Without the constant spikes and drops caused by regular food intake, without the sugar rushes and subsequent crashes, your emotional baseline naturally evens out. That feeling of clarity, that sense of mental sharpness and presence isn't imaginary or wishful thinking. It's biochemical balance expressing itself through your subjective experience. Ancient traditions recognized this reality long before neuroscience developed the tools to explain it. Monks seeking enlightenment, philosophers pursuing truth, sages searching for wisdom, all practiced fasting not because they wanted to suffer or punish their bodies, but because they understood that hunger could strip away noise and distraction, leaving only presence and awareness. They knew from direct experience that fasting clarified thinking, sharpened perception, and revealed insights that remained hidden during times of abundance. Today, modern science has a term for this: cognitive enhancement. But the fundamental effect remains exactly the same across centuries and cultures. Your brain becomes a precision instrument, finely tuned to perceive and engage with reality. It's worth emphasizing that this clarity isn't mystical or supernatural. It's measurable, observable, quantifiable. Brain imaging studies using functional MRI technology show increased connectivity between regions responsible for attention, decision-making, and executive function after short fasts. In simpler terms, when you stop constantly feeding your body, your mind begins to feast on its own enhanced capabilities. Something curious and somewhat unexpected happens around the 20th hour. Instead of feeling increasingly isolated or disconnected, many people report feeling more connected, more empathetic, more attuned to others. Your brain releases oxytocin, that same hormone powerfully tied to bonding, trust, and empathy between human beings. This isn't random. It's nature's way of encouraging cooperation and community during times of scarcity. After all, throughout human history, survival has never been a purely individual effort. We've always depended on one another, shared resources, worked together to overcome challenges. Fasting activates the neural circuitry that supports these collaborative instincts. As hunger persists hour after hour, introspection naturally deepens. The constant noise of consumption, the endless cycle of eating and digesting and eating again, all that fades into the background. In its place emerges a strange calm, a stillness that feels both unfamiliar and somehow deeply right. You start noticing sensations you normally ignore, thoughts you typically push aside, emotions you've learned to mask with food and activity and distraction. That's your body and mind realigning with their natural rhythm, the rhythm that existed before modern abundance made constant eating not just possible, but expected. Hunger, you begin to realize, isn't just a physical sensation. It's a form of communication, a message from your body about its state and its needs. On a neurological level, fasting enhances activity in your brain's default mode network, that system that activates during reflection, imagination, and creative thinking. It's why so many people report bursts of insight or emotional breakthroughs during prolonged fasts. In the absence of food, in the space created by not constantly consuming, the mind feeds on meaning, on understanding, on the deeper truths that tend to get buried under daily routine. Perhaps the real paradox of fasting isn't hunger at all. Perhaps it's awareness. Fasting doesn't actually deprive you of anything essential. Instead, it reintroduces you to yourself, to aspects of your experience that constant consumption tends to obscure. For the first time in a long while, your brain isn't chasing the next stimulation, the next pleasure, the next distraction. Instead, it's listening, it's paying attention, it's present. Your body's response to fasting isn't a new discovery or a recent innovation. It's an ancient memory, coded into your genes across millions of years of evolution. Our ancestors lived through endless cycles of feast and famine, abundance and scarcity, and their brains evolved to not just survive, but actually thrive under both conditions. Fasting wasn't a wellness choice or a dietary strategy. It was simply life, an unavoidable reality of existence. The ability to function effectively without food wasn't merely advantageous, it was absolutely essential for the continuation of the species. This evolutionary memory still lives within you. When you fast, specific genes that have remained dormant during times of constant feeding suddenly activate, initiating survival pathways that your body remembers perfectly well how to navigate. Your mitochondria, those microscopic power plants that exist inside nearly every cell, become more efficient at producing energy. Your brain ramps up production of antioxidants, molecules that protect against cellular damage and oxidative stress. It's as if your biology remembers exactly how to endure, how to optimize, how to do more with less. Interestingly, this adaptive response may explain why fasting feels strangely natural once you push through the initial discomfort and resistance. It's not new behavior you're learning, it's ancient programming you're reactivating. Your body recognizes fasting as familiar territory, a landscape it was specifically designed to navigate with skill and efficiency. So when people today talk about fasting as if it's some kind of cutting-edge wellness trend, they're fundamentally missing the point. Fasting isn't new. It's one of the oldest relationships human beings have with time, with rhythm, with the natural cycles of scarcity and abundance that shaped our evolution. While short-term fasting is safe and even beneficial for most people, it's crucial to acknowledge that it's not appropriate for everyone. The same biological processes that sharpen focus and enhance cognitive function can, in certain individuals or under specific circumstances, trigger harmful stress responses. If your blood sugar drops too low, particularly if you have underlying metabolic conditions, your brain may respond with dizziness, anxiety, confusion, or worse. It's a necessary reminder that fasting is powerful, and like all powerful interventions, it must be approached with respect, understanding, and appropriate caution. People with diabetes, those with chronically low blood pressure, individuals with certain metabolic or hormonal conditions, anyone with a history of eating disorders, all should never attempt prolonged fasting without direct medical supervision. The brain's chemistry is remarkably delicate, and what provides significant benefits for one person might cause genuine harm to another. At around the 24th hour, your cortisol levels might rise slightly, which is your body's way of managing energy and maintaining alertness. While mild increases in cortisol can enhance focus and awareness, prolonged or excessive elevation can lead to fatigue, irritability, disrupted sleep, and other stress-related symptoms. Balance is absolutely key. The goal of fasting should always be adaptation and optimization, never deprivation or punishment. Fasting is a tool, nothing more and nothing less. When used wisely, with understanding and respect for your individual needs and circumstances, it can reset both brain and body, creating opportunities for renewal and enhanced function. When pushed too far, when approached with the wrong mindset or in the wrong context, it becomes a source of stress instead of strength. The difference between these outcomes doesn't lie in the number of hours you abstain from food. It lies in understanding, in listening to your body, in recognizing your own unique needs and limits. When the 24-hour mark finally arrives and you take that first bite of food, when you allow nourishment to cross your lips for the first time in a full day, your body reacts like a symphony orchestra beginning its grand finale. Insulin floods through your bloodstream, signaling cells throughout your body to open their doors and receive the incoming nutrients. Glucose returns to your system, and your brain, which has been patiently running on ketones with remarkable efficiency, welcomes the familiar sugar. But something fundamental has changed during these hours of fasting. Your brain has learned efficiency. It has discovered that it can function, even thrive, on alternative fuel sources. As nutrients re-enter your system and begin circulating through your bloodstream, your senses suddenly sharpen in ways that might surprise you. Smells seem stronger, more complex, more vivid. Tastes become richer, more nuanced, almost overwhelming in their intensity. Even sounds might seem clearer, more distinct. Your brain interprets food as a profound reward after this period of voluntary scarcity, and dopamine levels rise accordingly, flooding your neural circuits with pleasure signals. But unlike the dopamine release that accompanies normal eating throughout a regular day, this rush carries something additional: gratitude. It's a biological thank you, an acknowledgement at the cellular level that survival has been secured once again. This is also the moment when the gut-brain axis, that powerful two-way communication highway between your digestive system and your nervous system, suddenly lights up with activity. The trillions of microorganisms that make up your gut microbiome begin to shift and
Fasting teaches patience in a world that's obsessed with immediacy and instant gratification. It strips away the excess, the unnecessary, the habitual, revealing how little we actually need to function and how incredibly powerful the brain becomes when we stop numbing it with routine consumption and constant stimulation. The real transformation that occurs during a fast isn't visible in your blood sugar levels or your fat percentage or any other number you could measure. The real transformation is in awareness, in perception, in your relationship with your own body and its capabilities. For many people, fasting becomes a kind of mirror, reflecting back what's normally hidden beneath layers of habit, distraction, comfort-seeking, and automatic behavior. It's not about discipline in the harsh, punitive sense. It's not about suffering or proving anything. It's about rediscovering the profound intelligence that's built into your biology, the wisdom that's been there all along, waiting patiently to be recognized and utilized. The next time you feel hunger rising, maybe you'll listen to it differently. Maybe you'll hear it not as a threat or an emergency demanding immediate response, but as a message, as information, as your body communicating something important about its state and its remarkable capabilities. Understanding this changes everything.